Hey everyone, we're Manga, and Petter and James are finally together for the first time. I'm meeting Petter in person. I'm here in Sweden, visiting Petter's hometown of Malmo. Am I saying that right, Malmo?
That's
good enough.
Perfectly fine pronunciation.
As many of the people probably already know, we're super into Vinland Saga, you know, the Viking Age and all that stuff. It's a very special manga to us, and Petter just happens to live in Scandinavia.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence.
Today, we are starting, I guess, a little journey of sorts to find and visit some old runestones that are from around the Viking Age that, well, in Sweden there exist a lot of them. Not a whole lot of them down here in southern Sweden, but there are some, and this is where we're gonna start. We're going up to Uppsala and Stockholm later to find even more runestones, probably, most likely. But this is where we're starting the journey, so we're gonna bike to southern Malmo, kind of, to find the first, maybe 2 runestones, hopefully, if we're lucky.
Right. Now, these aren't gonna be ones that Thorfinn wrote, probably. You know? I mean, Thorfinn was a different part of Scandinavia. We're in Sweden. Vinland Saga really didn't take place in Sweden, except for the one flashback
There was a little, right, King Knut was actually in Scania.
That's right.
In this part of Sweden, actually. So maybe King Knut wrote these.
Maybe we can go find his hunting grounds.
Yeah, when he was like talking metaphorically about killing wolves and stuff.
Right.
Like, so let's go.
Okay. Now, we know for a fact that these runes are here and not like taken to a museum somewhere. Like
according to that website, it should have been here, and there was a photograph of it there too. Forgot my magnifying glass.
Dang.
Let me just check here.
This is gonna be harder than I thought.
Yeah, same.
You think there'd be like a plaque or something?
Right, or yeah, something.
Sign, plaque.
Show me a sign. Oh,
you
no,
sure it's not over there?
Now I see. No, yeah, or apparently not super close to here, but it's in this general area anyway. Like,
So the map we used to try to find the rune was slightly faulty. We were kind of on a wild goose chase for a little bit, but Petter feels like we finally found the correct location, potentially.
Potentially.
And we are on our way over there.
Okay, so this
I remember this wall, so it must be, or I recognize it from the photo. So
yeah,
it must be this side.
We are closing in, probably. It's still like, we're walking here and it should be like, it's gonna turn to the right a bit.
Oh, okay.
And then it's
so we still have some
down there, so yes.
ways to go.
A little bit, but yes.
So a celebration of the live action One Piece, we're also kind of doing a treasure hunt thing. Petter didn't know about this, but I had in my head that we were searching for the One Piece.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as it seems.
Turns out the One Piece is a runestone.
I don't spoil it. The story's not even finished. Gosh.
Wow. I feel like we're in like a Christian church area.
Right, we
now.
passed that church.
Here is the church.
Yeah.
So it's funny that the runestone, which is from obviously a completely different religion, and even a religion that according to Christians back then was like a heathen kind of a thing, or, you know. It's funny that it exists within this area of all places. Oh wait, we should have walked in here. Should be just down here, I think. It's funny how we even like looked specifically at this chapel before, and we didn't realize it would be this close to it. Okay, I think we should be able to see it. Could it be that? Could it be that stone right there? I think, maybe. Probably.
I think that is.
It looks about right. Yes. Ah, we found it.
Found it.
We found it. Hey. James's first runestone.
Indeed. First of many, hopefully. Well, many, you know, a handful, but.
Absolutely. I mean, we should be able to find rather a lot in Uppsala, I think.
Okay, read it for us, Petter.
I wish I could.
And you call yourself a Swedish man.
Seems like a lot of the runestones are, yeah, like raised in somebody's memories after somebody passed away, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, what better way to make you immortal by etching it in stone?
Right. Totally. Yeah. So, but yeah, it
good
says
token for friendship.
Like this was, yeah, it was raised in the memory of a guy, like a friend raised it for his memory and declared that he was a well-born man. Like, yeah, that's
what more could you want?
It's very sweet.
So like I said, we're on our way to Burger King. This is the best Burger King in the area.
Yep.
No better Burger King in all of Sweden.
Yeah. Believe it.
I still can't believe how many Burger King you guys have. It's like more than US.
It's a hit.
So how far down is it?
I'm not totally sure right now. I think it should be only a little bit farther. But again, I'm not totally sure what we're even looking at. A metal amulet, supposedly? But it feels so weird.
It didn't say anything about being removed from the location or anything?
No, there was very little information.
I wonder if it has been moved then.
Yeah. And this doesn't seem like the place to like keep a thing like that.
No.
Like, I wonder what that is over there. It looks like there is something there, but I don't know if it's, I don't know.
Okay. It's worth investigating.
I have no like expectations for this. Firstly, because the pins on this map have let us down before. And also because this just doesn't seem like the place, you know?
Yeah, on the side of a highway, you know, right next to a bunch of big business buildings.
Yeah. So that was just a well, I guess, or something. And that maybe, that's just a bike?
Yeah, it looks like it is just a bike.
It's like a training bike. What's that doing here?
That's so random.
Well,
we have found the lost ruin training bike. The Vikings used to ride these babies for hours to get into shape.
Mm-hmm. They rode it so hard it tipped over.
That was pretty eventful. I mean, kind of a wild goose chase in some cases, but in the end we did find the runestone, the main one that we were looking for in the end. And
apparently the only thing in this area that actually was a runestone.
Yeah.
Turns out the second one that we thought existed was like, or at least according to the description that we found while we were out looking, was like a metal amulet of some kind. But
I mean, it would have been cool to find like an amulet on the side of the road somewhere for everybody to grab, but no, unfortunately it wasn't there. We looked, you know, tried our darndest, but unfortunately it must be moved to somewhere else, or it was in the wrong direction. The crazy thing to me on this whole adventure is that website that seems so official and so scholastic, scholarly, was all wrong in terms of where it had pinpointed the ruins.
Yeah,
at least the main one that we saw near the church.
Right. Yeah. So that was a bit of a shame, though it did make it into a fun adventure.
Oh yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it was a better storytelling.
Yeah. So you know, I'm content. I'm happy with this.
Oh, absolutely. And the church graveyard area was so beautiful. Such a lovely place, and it was so satisfying to finally find the runestone. Get to see that.
Yeah.
But this won't be the first rune on our adventure. We still got other places to go.
Yes, we got, well, in Uppsala, especially. We'll see what we find in Stockholm, if anything, but Uppsala for sure. Because spoiler, I've been to some in Uppsala already, so I know that where we can find some. And yeah, this was only the beginning.
So in a somewhat spontaneous trip to a city north of Malmö, we ended up finding a runestone.
Yeah, inside of Lund's University Library, which is right behind us here. Like in the lobby, like right inside of the door, stood this massive, I mean, it's not particularly thick, but like a really tall runestone with like on two of the sides of it, there were like texts, and on the front side, I guess you could say, it was like a really impressive piece of artwork. Yeah. So yeah, that was a really fun surprise.
Really fun surprise. You know, we had no idea that this would be here. I think it just kind of makes this runestone hunt all the more special.
Absolutely, yeah. It says some names I can't remember exactly, Thorgil or something, or maybe I'm making that up just because that was the name of a Vinland Saga character. It was something similar to Thorgil either way. It was the name of a man who had erected or made the stone in memory of his two dead brothers. I believe one of his brothers' name was Olaf, but either way, his two brothers had passed, and he made the stone for them and to remember them, and he claimed that they were fine men or something like that.
1,100 odd some years later, it's erected here in this library. At least for a few more years.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so awesome.
That is really awesome.
Say you see the runestone?
Yeah, in front of the blue thing.
Ah, the natural blue building.
That,
straight from the Viking age.
Yeah, it kind of ruins the vibe a little bit. But oh yeah, okay, I see. So there's like a small little hill. That's barely a hill. It's a little
false advertising.
Little slope. But with supposedly 6 runestones gathered around it. But these don't appear to be accompanied by any kinds of like informational signs like the other 2 were that we saw so far.
Well, here, I could tell you what this says.
Yeah?
Yeah, so Canute the Great was here.
Nice.
All right, you can pay me later. Once we found the runestone in the library, we got to thinking, could there possibly be more? And sure enough, a guide for the city and the university showed us that there's an entire hill of runestones like dedicated to them.
Yes.
And so sure enough, we walked around and found them.
Yeah, here in Lund, known as Runestone Hill, where there are 6 runestones gathered in various places in Skåne or Scania, and they've been gathered here, 6 stones around this little hill where we're standing right now. Supposedly the tall one that we found in the library before used to stand right in the middle of these.
Right there.
So yeah, but either way, we found them all, or at least the ones that
Now, were they gathered here by the university, or were they set here some years ago by somebody else? I can't imagine that all the Vikings decided, okay guys, get your runestones ready. You know, we're gonna put them all on the hill.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I assume they were put here after the Viking Age.
Must have been. Must have been.
I think that's probably most likely the case with all of these stones that have been moved to various places.
I guess eventually the university decided to move the the tall one into the library. But it's still very neat, still very cool to see these runestones still here.
I guess another thing worth mentioning, since we're doing this largely to the like for our Vinland Saga listeners,
right? Please do.
Really, as you found out.
Yeah, there's a cathedral here in Lund. It's been around a long time. And so I was looking into the history of Lund and the cathedral, and apparently the founders of this town are rumored to be either Svein Forkbeard or Canute the Great, who were featured in Vinland Saga. So it's, what are the odds that, well, one, we didn't even know about that, so we just stumbled upon it, but what are the odds that the people that inspired us to go find these runestones would keep inspiring us and help us find them today?
Find even more runestones, so yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I mean, I'm so glad that we started here in this area before going to Uppsala, where there are so many more runestones.
Yes, precisely. Yeah, and, well, hopefully it will live up to the hype now.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a big boots to fill after this.
Hopefully we'll be able to find an amount that we will be content with.
One more thing to note is that we don't know for sure, but based on the fact that this used to be Danish territory, these runestones are probably more Danish Vikings than Swedish Vikings.
Exactly, since they were gathered from different locations in Skåne. So yeah, precisely, they would have been written by Danish Vikings.
Fascinating. Now we are in Uppsala, a town that's near and dear to Petter's heart.
Yeah, I was born here, although I only spent the first 5.5 years or so of my life living here. It's still the place, I mean, I got my roots here, a lot of family history and stuff, and, well, a lot of history in general in this city.
A lot of history.
As it turns out. We will be visiting several runestones, supposedly, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan in this city. And we are very near the first one, which I believe is just, yeah, a little bit away in that direction. Behind us, for those who wonder, is the Uppsala Cathedral, which is
Can't really
massive.
see it right now, but...
You see a little bit of it behind the houses, but...
It is huge, it's massive. We saw the one in Lund and we're like, I was pretty impressed with it to begin with, but this one, we haven't even gone up to it, and it's pretty clear that this is a lot bigger. But that's not the only thing that's big. I mean, we don't even know how big these runestones are gonna be, but there's also plenty of runestones in this area. According to Petter's research and what we know, in this part of Sweden, there's just so many runestones. It was a very in thing to do for Vikings to write on these runestones, whether they say, hey, this guy was a great guy, or I'm pretty awesome with a sword, or something like that.
Yeah, right. I mean, all sorts of things. And yeah, specifically, Sweden as a country has the most amount of runestones in the world, and specifically this county of Sweden and this city, and the city and the area around it is the specific area of Sweden that has the most dense, I guess, areas of runestones today. So that is pretty awesome.
Exciting. So let's turn this way and see what we can find.
I see it.
Oh, you see it?
Behind the tree here.
Well, that was quick.
Yep. Yep, it's a thin one, but it's a runestone.
Yeah. Do you know what they use to write the runestone? Because it seems to be the same red ink or paint or something.
Yeah, I don't know exactly about the ink or paint or whatever they use, like the coloring, I'm not sure. But I know like they started, or at least from how I've understood it, they would start by, what do you call it, like hacking into the stone, making these little trails, and then afterward they would color it somehow, like in the little dents that they would have done with like a little picking tool. That's my understanding at least. Let's see what it says about this stone. Runestone with inscription from the 11th century. Someone had this stone raised for his, or for their son, Uns, for his spirit. He was killed in baptism clothes in Denmark.
because this was the end of the Viking Age, so there was like more and more, you know, believers of the Nordic faith were starting to convert to Christianity at the time. So I guess the person who this stone was raised for had probably done that. Though this is looking pretty bad right now, but according to the maps I saw, there would be more runestones kind of over there. But it looks like they're just doing a bunch of construction there right now, so I don't know.
Another blue building of some kind. Like in Lund, there was another thing like that. Like,
oh yeah, although in a
it was more like a trailer park.
Probably right,
trailer.
But still something blue that might be in our way here. I guess I could have read the map wrong, but it looked like there would be other runestones sort of in here. Like, I'm hoping that I understood the map wrong and that it's not like actually in here. I mean, I'm not seeing anything. Guess we'll keep looking. I think I may have found a big one. Ooh. Ooh, this is cool.
Whoa.
This looks a lot like this kind of motif. Looks a lot like the frame motifs on the cover on the books of Vinland Saga. Like this, I don't know if it's this specific stone. Like this type of art may have been frequently occurring throughout the Viking Age, potentially, maybe. But regardless, like this type of rune stone art must have been the inspiration for that frame art, I guess, that they have on the cover arts for all of the, at least all of those English releases of Vinland Saga. There doesn't seem to be like any kind of sign with information for this one. Yeah, I guess we'll keep an eye out.
Oh, hey.
Oh, yeah, I just saw it too. Wow, this one's sealed in. This one looks almost like a Christian motif. I don't know. Björn and something, something, something. The stone after something, something soul. Or something like that. Spirits. There's another one there.
Oh, okay.
Also closed in. Oh, that's a bunch of trash. Man, this is disrespectful. Oh, I guess there's a bin there, so I may have just somehow ended up here, but this one seems a bit more well preserved than the other one. It looks like, at least. It's got a pretty cool symbol there. Pretty cool looking.
So like Petter was saying, he thought that they would be lined up together, but we weren't sure. But he was right. We at least got 3 lined up in a row.
Right, yeah. Even
Maybe
though
4?
they were all sealed in these wooden prisons.
Now I wonder if it's to keep them safe during construction.
Oh yeah, actually that's a good point. Since they are doing construction work like right next to it, that makes a lot of sense. That's probably it, yeah.
Similar to the other one. But the other one didn't have a placard anywhere. Forgive my Swedish name pronunciation, but Forkun and Brun had the memorial made in memory of, oh my goodness, Igulfast, their father. The stone was found east of the river. It was probably part of the material used in the construction of the Franciscan monastery in the 13th century. Wow. Which
13th century?
Yeah.
Okay.
The inscription is cut by the rune master Upir. It's an O with a umlaut over it.
Oh yeah, Upir.
Upir. Upir. I mean, Upir is that, you know, everyone knows Upir.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, that's cool though. I wonder how many of these are Upir's work. Just
right, I mean, precisely.
he's called a rune master.
Yeah, right. Actually, I think I recognize maybe seeing his name on the...
Maybe a lot of these are his
on
work.
the first one of these anyway. Yeah, could be. Very
That's
well.
4 so far.
Right, we're...
5 so far, excuse me.
Oh, that's right, because, yeah. 3 in these, then the one there, and then the first one. Yeah. Ah. Very nice.
So do you know anything about this almost X cross looking symbol? Because for me, in my Christian brain, be like, oh, is this supposed to be the cross?
Right, yeah, 'cause I mean, I obviously, I got a little bit of that vibe at first as well, but like, I don't know, to me, like when I look at, I guess, how do you say, like a symmetrical cross, like, or symmetrical upward and downward, like this part and this part are equally long. That's not the case in a Christian cross, right?
For most crosses, yeah.
Generally the Christian cross is longer at the bottom. So I wonder if it's just a cross and not necessarily a Christian one. Because I believe we talked about that on one of our Vinland Saga discussions about Gudrid's necklace. She has a cross on her necklace, which is it looks kind of like this. It doesn't, at least to me, doesn't look like a Christian cross specifically, but I don't know. So yeah, there's a lot from like the end of the Viking Age.
But this is interesting because this is for a woman. And it's like a mother for her daughter's soul.
It appears like that Urpir cut this one as well.
Dang, guy's a legend.
What a guy, yeah. Impressive.
It's unusual for runestones to have been raised in memory of women. That's awesome. I mean, you know, I look at this and I think, man, that is a fine piece of rune. I mean, I could tell it's a woman. I mean, can't you? It's a joke, Petter. Like, come on.
I'm slow. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't walk too much in the grass.
Yeah, look, my shoes are soaking.
Yeah, I can feel it too. Oh, this one has some inscriptions on the side, like very vaguely. I don't know if that picks up on the camera. Is that inscriptions?
I think so.
Looks like it, but they're not colored. Those doesn't say anything about Upir on this one.
Oh, darn.
But
yeah, I mean, you know, his would have been better kept.
Exactly.
I mean, this is a work of a rookie.
Yeah, and like the main side of it, even here, like a lot of the color has faded from the top, especially. Oh. Ah,
it's a self-made.
Yeah. Someone made it.
DIY, do it yourself.
Yeah.
No wonder.
Had this carved in memory of himself.
Oh, it's himself, so maybe he didn't carve it.
The most talented of all men.
Wow. So is this the equivalent of taking a selfie? Is that?
I mean, hey, yeah. Or like doing a self-portrait, you know, as an artist perhaps. Like, I mean, why not, you know?
If anybody's gonna remember, you might as well be yourself.
For sure.
Now we're outside of the university. We're in front of the cathedral here in Uppsala.
Yeah, right. And we were just inside, took a little look. Was
gorgeous.
Great. Yeah, beautiful. It's so impressive, so massive. But yeah, and we found some cool graves. No Viking Age graves, but some graves from important people from Sweden's history after the Viking Age. Cathedral
aside, where our real mission here is to get after the runestone that are near. Yes. I mean, tons of it in Uppsala, but we have some nearby.
Yeah, some that are right outside of the cathedral here. So we'll go have a look at those now.
Let's get going.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 in this place alone.
Holy cow.
So here's the first one. Yeah, this is a similar motif as the one that I was talking about that looks like the kind of frame art on the English releases of the Vinland Saga books. Kind of a similar kind of twisty, snaky thingy. Someone had the stone raised after Vige, his father, Ingulv, wrote the runes. Next one, more of these. This one doesn't seem to have a sign, but
it's got some like, it looked like it's been cut in half, but then concrete put on it.
oh yeah, this one, yeah, it's been like restored to some degree. Huh. So, about the one that we were just looking at, I overheard the women talking. Apparently, it had been vandalized, or it had been broken apart as late as the 1800s.
Wow.
Like, so that was a far more recent incident.
This is kind of unique compared to the ones we've seen so far. I mean,
yeah,
it's like wider, it has
far wider, yeah.
a lot of the tree or the snake thing going on.
Definitely.
How much writing? I mean, unless the arrows are the writing, I can't tell. Oh, maybe right there is writing.
Yeah, this looks like, yeah, like a serpent or a dragon. I'd say, at least based on I assume that's the head of the creature, and it looks a lot like what the Norse would like. I guess a Norse dragon in like the front of Viking ships and stuff.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that.
Is this a foot or
Maybe.
a tail?
Who knows? I don't know. Ring and Hulte and Fastger, they had the stone risen after Vigmar, their father, a good ship's chief or ship's like a I guess like a captain maybe of some kind. Likbjörn wrote the runes. Here's another one that's been slightly put together there, it looks like.
Yeah.
On the side. But it's kind of hard to make out what. I mean, it's more art and writing, I guess. No sign to this one. This one looks like it may have been a bit bigger originally, at least a bit.
Interesting that a lot of them follow a very similar design.
Yeah, right. Definitely. I also noticed that different runestones have had different ways to separate the words. This one does just a little dot between each word to separate them. We've seen, I believe we saw another one where they did little crosses, or little X marks kind of, instead between. And I've seen others, I think, that it looks like colons basically between each word. Here's one with some information. Also from the 11th century. A lot of them are from that century. It looks like this sign has translations for this one and the two most recent ones that we saw. At least that's my guess, because there's 3 different translations here. And there wasn't a sign for those. But I'm not sure which translation is assigned to which stone. But there's one that says Tore and Rökir and Karl, those brothers, ... something unclear probably.
Those brothers.
That's about it for one of them. The other one says something, and Joverfast had the stone risen after their father. Oh yes, actually, sorry, yeah, there were just 2. This was, yeah, my bad. So maybe these 2 that are closest to the sign, I'm guessing then, were those 2 translations. This is probably the most well-preserved one out of the ones right outside the cathedral here. At least it looks very clear, the whole artwork here.
I agree.
It says something, Björn and Brand had the stone risen after Karlung, their father, and Ketilbjörn. Oh, Ketilbjörn. So another double name with Ketil as one of the names. Biggest anime betrayals.
Yeah.
Ketilbjörn after his brother. Öpir made the runes.
Hey,
it's our guy Öpir.
good. I mean, man, his stuff lasts.
Yeah,
this, right. He knows what he's doing.
He really is the master.
The
rune
master. We just got a glimpse at some sword fighting. bulk of it, unfortunately, was the 12th century, but that was still so cool to see how they really were going for the killing blows, you know, more so than any style points, really.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was really fun to watch. Like, so we got to catch. I assume what was it? Maybe like the 11th century fighting, like
just got brief.
They were just finishing it up, kind of.
Yeah.
With like a one-handed sword and shield, like that kind of combat. So we got to see that a little bit, but then we got to see like two-handed broadsword kind of combat after that, which was also really cool.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah.
There was like the helicopter spin move, which they were using quite frequently. Yeah. Just to get at the head.
Yeah.
So that was amazing.
That was really
Loved
cool.
it. Okay, so we just got done looking around at kind of the main part of Uppsala with the cathedral and the university. It was really great. But now we're going to take a nice little bike ride over to Old Uppsala.
Yes, we're going to Gamla Uppsala, which literally means Old Uppsala. And while there may not necessarily be runestones for us to find there, like I don't know for sure if there are or aren't, but regardless, I know we'll find some stuff there that could be interesting for those who are interested in old Viking history and those sorts of things. So
yeah, the Viking history part is what I'm really looking forward to. And we're going on a nice bike ride, so it should be good.
Absolutely. So this day specifically, like this one day of the year, not only is the open until midnight, but they're also having like guided tours and little events throughout the evening or throughout the night. One of the things that appealed to me more so than the rest is that these hills are usually off limits. Like you're not allowed to go onto them normally, because like for example, when my mom was young, they weren't off limits. Like anyone could just walk across them however they please.
They probably just eroded in that
precisely
way.
It kind of it wasn't good for the hills because the hills were worn down. So eventually they decided to keep them off limits, which is probably a good thing to preserve them. But tonight they're having they're like at certain points they're giving little tours where they actually will take us onto the hills, which is pretty awesome.
Cow, this is how did we stumble upon this?
Yeah,
this is insane.
This is perfect, like incredible timing. Like, what are the odds, really? As I said, when my mom lived here as a kid, these hills weren't off limits yet. Like to her, they were just any old hills, so she would like go sledding on them and stuff in winter. So those are kind of the memories she has of them. But they are from like 200 years before the Viking Age, so they're like really old.
Are there any runestones up here at all? Or no?
Let's check. That's actually a good idea. It looks like there's just like gravestones.
Right.
Maybe that's why they're hard to find, because they're just hidden among the regular gravestones. Oh, dude!
It's much more crude than the previous one. I mean, obviously, it's not done by what's his name. It's barely a shape.
Yeah. Nothing there.
No explanations or anything.
No.
These are part of it.
Right, precisely. These also have some inscriptions. Man, this is a pretty sad sight compared to the other ones. I mean,
but it probably shows how old it is.
Fair. That's fair. And especially since Gamla Uppsala or Old Uppsala, I mean, it is an older part of Uppsala, obviously. And from what I've understood, it's been around since before the Viking Age, even. So, like, these may have been from the Viking Age, but they may be just spontaneous thought. Like, I don't know for sure, but maybe they are more from an earlier part of the Viking Age compared to most of the other stones that we've seen. Because I feel like most of the ones we've seen have been from the end, like the last century of the Viking Age. Chances are this one might be older than that. Let's see if there's any others. I find it really interesting how it seems to almost be a trend that they keep runestones next to Christian churches. Like, I mean, I don't mind it at all. I just think it's interesting that, I mean, that they would mix that much. Oh, there's even more of the graveyard down there, huh? There should be something more on the other side of the church compared to where we found the first stone. Indeed. Oh! On the church?
Whoa!
What?
That is so cool.
What? Yeah, also, this is from the 11th century. Sigvid Englandsfararen. So, Sigvid and his last name or his title or whatever, as obviously back then last names weren't always that common, or not everyone had like an established last name or like family name, but oftentimes one would get their names based on their deeds or things that one had done. This person's last name was like England farer, or like a person who had traveled to England. So Sigvid Englandsfararen made this stone after Vidjarv, his father. Oh, so apparently this used to lay as an altar table in the church.
What?
And in 1856, it was moved from there and was milled into the wall of the church like this.
Well, he draws a cool dragon.
Yeah, definitely.
What a day that we've had today. It feels like we've jam-packed 2 days into one.
Absolutely, yeah. We were both thinking that on our bike ride home today from Gamla Uppsala, where we ended the whole day, that, yeah, it really feels like 2 days worth of activities. First in, well, main Uppsala, and then Gamla Uppsala or Old Uppsala. On top of that, which ended up being a much bigger adventure than I think either of us had expected when we biked over there.
I had no expectations.
Right, James didn't know anything at all. All I knew for sure was obviously the 3 mounds, like the King's mounds, from which which predate the Viking Age by a few centuries. But as we've probably already shown on the video, we found these 2 runestones around the church, or like in the wall of the church, and then we had this special guided tour, which only happened like once. I don't know how often, but
once a year, didn't they say? Yeah.
It seemed like it just was an annual
once
thing.
a year.
And we just happened to visit that specific day, this guided tour onto the middle out of the 3 mounds.
And by the time we had gotten there, it would have normally been closed, so we would have missed out on, the museum that's there, the gift shop, which I definitely bought way more than I should have, and then the guided tour on top of the hill. Yeah, we would have missed all of that, but because they are open until midnight, we were able to get that special look at the mounds. The legend is that the 3 gods were buried there: Odin, Thor, and Frey.
Precisely, yeah, precisely. In the Viking Age, which came after this, that's what they thought then. So yeah,
Although we did see people believe in Odin before the Viking Age.
Indeed,
so.
Precisely. So precisely, yeah. Supposedly, some of the myths that were big during the Viking Age did predate the Viking Age itself, but it's fun to see how different people have, I guess, interpreted these places and like how they've lived along with the past in a way. These mounds have gone through so many phases, throughout history. And now we are where we are, and in my opinion, a pretty good place where we're actually trying to preserve them and try to make sure that they're not worn down by people walking on them constantly.
So in terms of our rune hunt, maybe not be the main part of our discovery, but we found some cool runes at the church and also at the museum. While we found replicas, we also found a picture of a rune that dealt with Bluetooth, your ancestor.
Oh right, yeah, Harald Bluetooth. Yeah.
Thought that was pretty neat, even though it was just a picture of it. But it mentioned Yelling, which is in Vinland Saga, where King Canute resided. Anyway, really cool stuff. But tomorrow we are going to Stockholm to hopefully find a couple more ruins before our journey is up. Maybe we may have more after that, but we'll see. Either way, very eventful day.
Absolutely, yeah.
Final day in our Swedish Runestone adventure, I'd say.
Yes.
We're here in Stockholm, finally, the capital, the capital.
The capital, the only capital of Sweden. And supposedly there are some more runestones for us to find here. One that should be about a 5-minute walk away from where we are now. We are in Gamla Stan in Stockholm, which just means the old city.
We have the castle there, the palace, some nobility stuff and whatnot, and very small streets, so that should be fun to go through. But supposedly there's also a runestone somewhere.
Precisely, and one or maybe two.
Maybe two.
Maybe two here. We'll
Could
see.
be an amulet. We'll find out.
No. Oh my gosh! No more amulets, please.
But. Interesting enough, while this region has so many runestones, actually within Stockholm, at least for what we can find, there are not too many of them, which makes sense since it's such a big metropolitan area. I'm sure, maybe they found some runestones and they're in the building blocks of some of the buildings in here without them even knowing.
Who knows precisely? Yeah, right. You never really know. But yeah. Nowhere near the amount that we were finding in Uppsala yesterday, but
that was a gold mine.
But there will hopefully at least be something.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh wait, actually, I believe looks like it's the street up.
Oh, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
This part of Stockholm I really like.
Ah. Oh, there it is, right there, right there.
Oh. Well, so
what did I say? What did I say?
Just like in the church, that side of the church, huh? Very well.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well,
but at least the motif on this one looks a lot like this is probably a snake, right?
Yeah.
It's.
I can definitely see the snake, not a dragon necessarily.
Yeah, not roots or anything like that. Probably. Probably safe to say it's a snake. Yeah. Well done, Stockholm. You gave us at least one runestone, or at least a part of a runestone.
A part of a runestone.
That's funny. We almost missed it.
So we just finished our day in Stockholm, finding some ruin, taking a look at some museums. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We just came out of the Viking Museum, which for the purpose of this video and this journey to find runestones was actually, I'd say, more interesting than we had expected, because I don't think we had relatively low expectations for that museum. And while we didn't find any, like, I guess, full-on runestones in there, we found some fragments of a runestone, just like small 2 little pieces.
There was also a corner where it was dedicated to like pictures of runestone and talking about, some of the more famous ones that have been found in the Scandinavian area, particularly Sweden.
Yeah.
Some runestones that we had seen from pictures, and the one famous guy, Odir, or what?
Uppir.
Uppir.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Huge fan of him.
We've both become such huge fans of Uppir now. It's amazing. He's the man.
He's the man. He's the master. He's carved, according to the museum, he's carved the most out of anybody.
Oh, that's
at least
that's not
still
surprising.
Around, yeah.
Fair. Right. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Earlier in the day, we went and found a rune on the corner of a building, you know, that was pretty
right, precisely.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, like another one of those, like a second runestone built into a building. And as we also heard from the guide on the guide tour when we were at the mountains last night, apparently that's not too unusual. Apparently, like, so yeah, I wonder how many of those we just kind of walk by without noticing.
Absolutely.
Like just in day-to-day life. I don't know.
That's really cool to think that there's just so many in this area that you could have one underneath your house and you wouldn't even know it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I think this is going to wrap up our runestone adventure here in Sweden. It's been great to be with my friend Petter and, you know, go around and see some places. Not only am I taking in the sights of the runestones, but also sights of Sweden and seeing a new country for myself. It's really quite amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really glad for you. And I've also had a blast sharing this whole week with you and seeing more runestones, because really, even though I've grown up here, I've lived here my whole life more or less, I haven't seen a whole lot of runestones. Like, I had seen the ones around Uppsala Cathedral before, and I had seen one other runestone in Uppsala, which we've also visited on our way here. The first one that we found in the university park, also in Uppsala, also near the cathedral.
Right.
But like those are the only ones I'd seen before. So now having seen multiple down in Skåne where I live, as well as even more in Uppsala than I had seen before, as well as some here in Stockholm too. It's amazing.
And it was really cool to kind of get that close connection with the Vinland Saga story in a way. I mean, we didn't really find too many evidence of Thorfinn or, I mean, Thorfinn was a different island.
True.
But
still.
It was not only cool to see, you know, the names of Forkbeard and Canute the Great thrown around, but it was also cool to see some of the inspiration that maybe Yukimura had when he was visiting the Nordic countries to get information for Vinland Saga. You know, see the architecture, how the buildings were built, and their clothes and things like that. I mean, it was really one-to-one in a lot of ways.
For sure. Yeah, as far as we've seen, and in the places that have shown other things from the Viking Age other than just the runestones.
Thanks guys so much for watching this. Remember to subscribe and keep watching for more videos. I mean, I can't promise more of these traveling videos. I mean, there's only so much I can do, or what Petter and I can do. But please look forward to more Vinland Saga discussions as the volumes come out, and whatever else we're covering on Manga.
Oh yeah, can't wait for volume 14 or book 14. That's gonna be so dope. Oh, whenever it comes out. Always looking forward to the next
Absolutely.
Saga manga. Oh,
can't wait.
Can't wait.
Bye guys.
Bye-bye.